Hello, good evening. So whether you know it or not, we live in the Bitcoin era, and it actually presents a massive opportunity. It's a $56 trillion opportunity, and I'm going to walk you through, in a very, very simple way, how this opportunity kind of presents itself. So basically, human life, as a result of a series of revolutions, has gotten better and better and better. Things have gotten cheaper and cheaper. The printing press made knowledge cheaper because we printed books. Steam engine made transportation cheaper. And the Industrial Revolution made manufacturing cheaper. Telecom made sending messages cheaper. Computers made computing calculations cheaper. Before, you would have hundreds of people doing calculations to figure out where the cannonball would fall. Now you just have a computer doing those calculations. Artificial intelligence is making the cost of prediction cheaper. And Bitcoin is actually making the cost of trust cheaper. And trust is a very, very big thing in human life, and we're going to walk you through the specifics of that. So tech adoption is actually happening at a faster and faster and faster pace. So over the last century, you'll see how the TV, as an example, went up to a massive adoption faster. Smartphones. There was a time when nobody had a smartphone, and suddenly billions of people have a smartphone. And guess what? We're right at the beginning of the Bitcoin era. So we're very, very early. People get confused. It's $40,000. How could we be early? In my mind, this is going to $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, and I'll show you exactly how. But the key thing to keep in mind is that we're very, very early. So if I gave you a piece of paper, 1 millimeter thick, and I ask you to fold it once, fold it twice, fold it 3 times, fold it 50 times, how high does it go? It doesn't go up to 50 millimeters. It actually goes all the way to the sun. This is the power of compounding. So go back to how there was a time when nobody had a smartphone, and then billions of people had a smartphone. That was a compounded pattern. It was exponential. And Bitcoin is following exactly that. So this is showing you the multiple of how the 20 turns goes. And then if you continue to 50, it doesn't even fit on the screen. So most humans, right, if you're not a mathematician, it's very tough to understand these exponential patterns. But if you understand exponential patterns, you can create value for yourself in terms of making money. You can make careers out of it. You can make businesses out of it. So humans started living together about 13,000 years ago. And they started trading wool, wood, wheat. And that trading, when that happened, the records, the transactions, where were they kept? They were kept in the head. Now, where is the trust in that? The trust is in your social circle. But if you wanted to trade not in your village, but a village that's far away, there's no trust. So that's where writing was invented. And this is a really interesting thing. Writing was invented 5,000 years ago, not to communicate, but to maintain a record, to maintain a ledger. In Urdu, we say khata. That's why writing was invented. And from here, 2,500 years ago, gold coins were invented. And what was gold? It was the thing that basically allowed me to trust someone far away. Because gold was authentic. You could trust gold. So then after that, 1,200 years ago, paper currency was invented. And paper currency was backed by gold or silver or a commodity. And from here, you had the Medicis. The Medicis were an Italian family that invented banking. What is banking? Banking is a ledger. That's it. It's your checking account. I gave them 1,000 lira. They maintained it in a ledger. I withdrew some money. They maintained the ledger. What is modern day banking? It's a ledger. Your checking account, your savings account, your credit card account, your mortgage, everything is a ledger. About 50 years ago, just 50 years ago, the US and every currency in the world, 160 currencies, moved to something called the fiat standard. Currencies were no longer backed by gold. They were just printed. This experiment is finishing. It's a catastrophe. It's made everything expensive. And so over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, not sure how long, this experiment is going to wind down, and Bitcoin's going to take over, is what I think. And I'll walk you through why I think that. So if you think about the overarch of human history, Memory was ledger 1.0. Writing, ledger 2.0. Coins, money 1.0. Paper currency, money 2.0. Banking, ledger 3.0. Bitcoin is ledger 3, fiat currency was money 3.0. Then Bitcoin is money 4.0 and ledger 4.0. That's the simplest way to understand this complicated technology. There's a lot of tech behind it, SHA-256, algorithms, blah, blah, blah. But the fundamental way to think about it, it's a ledger. It's a perfect ledger. Have you ever heard of the Bitcoin network being hacked? It's never been hacked. It's the perfect ledger. The example that I give, that if I got into a fight with you, I would go to your village, I would tell the guy who maintains the land records, here's 1 lakh rupees, here's $300, please change the land record. The land record would change. Suddenly, it's my land now. You can't do that in the Bitcoin world. So if I had the same fight with you in the Bitcoin world, I can't do that. And that's what Bitcoin basically is. The way to think about the ledger is that it's decentralized. So there are 15,000 people that are maintaining the ledger simultaneously. So I have to convince 15,000 people to change the records. And that's why it's super secure, and this is part of the network. And this is what most people get confused. There's Bitcoin, the network, and Bitcoin, the currency and the commodity. So you have to think of it in two different ways. The network is perfect. It's immutable. It doesn't change. Every single transaction's there. The public can see it. Doesn't change. It's super secure. There's a lot of energy and work behind it. And it uses billions of dollars of energy and hardware to ensure that each transaction is valid. And that's why you can trust Bitcoin. I can't trust my bank. It's permissionless. Think of email. Do you need permission to set up an email address? No. Why do you need permission to bank? So Bitcoin is a protocol that allows anyone to participate. So since we're in Pakistan over here, to open up a dollar account is a pain in the butt. To open up a Bitcoin account, walk in the park. It's permissionless. You don't need permission. It's space constrained and expensive. It's like the Fifth Avenue or Alam Road, right? It's pristine, and it costs to participate in the network. Moving on to money. This is the part that I think fascinates me personally. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. That's it. Gold, which is the safest asset known to humans, and I bow down to gold. I think gold is amazing. The amount of gold that was found in the last 30 years, was it 1%, 2%, 3%? 50% new gold was mined in the last 30 years. So the most conservative asset known to humans, gold, the supply is increasing. Bitcoin, 21 million 10 years ago, Bitcoin, 21 million today, 21 million 10 years from now, 21 million forever. And you can trust it because it's technologically coded into the system that it's only going to be 21 million. It's deflationary, and I'll walk you through that, what that means. It's a store of value. The next time when people say, what's its use? It stores value. And I'll walk you through some graphics around that also. It's a medium of exchange. It's portable. If I wanted to take $1 million worth of gold through the Lahore airport, impossible. I can take Bitcoin. I can take $1 million, $1 billion. Nobody can stop me. I can put words in my head that are the key to my Bitcoin. It's traceable, and that's why terrorists don't use it. The next time you hear people talk about terrorists using this for bad activity, it's fully traceable. It's transparent. Everyone can see every record. So nobody uses it for bad activity because everyone can see it. It's super divisible. This is another thing that most people think that, oh, I don't have $40,000. How do I buy a Bitcoin? You can buy 1,000 rupees worth of Bitcoin. You can buy 2,000 rupees of Bitcoin. You can buy whatever amount of Bitcoin you want. So don't think about that in a bad way. Self-custody. If I wanted to custody my money, right, it's very hard because of the amount of money. If I wanted to custody gold, it's hard. But Bitcoin, I can custody myself. In my phone, words in my head, boom. Very easy. And Bitcoin is an amazing company. Bitcoin's overall value is $800 billion. A lot of people that hear about Bitcoin the first time or are new to Bitcoin think about, typically a man with thick glasses, coding behind a computer. It's a geeky little project in some corner of the world, right? $800 billion, and it's in some really, really good company. It's right up there with Tesla, Apple, Aramco, Microsoft. That's how big Bitcoin is. And it's, by the way, 10 years ago, it was nothing. And it went like this. So it's going to easily eclipse gold, that 13.6 trillion, over the next 5 or 10 years at the pace that it's going. The Bitcoin price has gone up 112% annually over the last 10 years. Think about that. Every year, it's gone up by 112%. Not cumulatively, every year. Remember when I told you about compounding and that piece of paper going to the moon? This is what this is. It's literally scaling like nothing else that we've ever seen before. So the next time when people, like, I think I mentioned this, right? When people say that, oh, you know what? It has no use. It stores value. That's its initial use. People can send money between each other. And slowly but surely, stores and others will also accept it. And people are working on the technology for that adoption to kind of happen. Here's another stat, right? If you don't believe me on the price and everything else I'm talking about, in 2012, there was 1 million people that had Bitcoin. Today, 50 million plus have Bitcoin. It's a 50x exponential pattern. Where is this graph going to go? It's going to keep going up. The hash rate. This is the amount of compute power that's behind Bitcoin, that is protecting it. So one of the jokes that people make is, behind the US dollar is the US military and the US Navy. It protects the US dollar. So behind Bitcoin is power and calculations. And this is billions of dollars of infrastructure that's in place protecting the network. The example I gave about the ledgers, right? There are 15,000 people maintaining the ledger. So they're in local parlance, there's 15,000 patwaris. They're simultaneously maintaining the ledger. And it makes this revolution very decentralized, that there's no centralization. You don't have to trust Islamabad or Washington, D.C., or London or Tokyo. Their power is distributed. There's a concept in Bitcoin called diamond hands, that when people buy Bitcoin, they hold on to it. So more and more people are not selling their Bitcoin. Because what would you sell it for? Gold, where the supply is increasing? You would buy land. Lahore is expanding, New York's expanding, right? Going up, going horizontal. Bitcoin, 21 million. So right now, 15 million of the 21 million Bitcoin haven't moved in a year. They're just stuck because people are not selling. And this compounding will hit the 21 million cap. So more and more people aren't going to sell, as more and more people start believing and understanding it. And this is what makes this asset, it's going to just keep going up. The total number of Bitcoin are 21 million, and they were released in something called halving. It's a very technical algorithm, but I'll try to simplify it for you. In the first halving in 2012, 10.5 million Bitcoin were released. A massive number of Bitcoin came to the market. That's when some people bought a pizza for like thousands of Bitcoin, because a Bitcoin was worth 1 cent. But then guess what happened? In the next halving, the supply halved. In the next halving, the supply halved further. And we are just finishing the fourth halving, which is going to happen in April. And guess what's happening to the Bitcoin price? It's going up, because it's being released at a smaller and smaller pace. And this is what makes it deflationary. How many rupees is the central bank in Pakistan printing? How many dollars is the Federal Reserve Bank in the US printing? Unlimited. This, less, less, less. And because of the halving, the price keeps going up. So as the supply release goes down, the price keeps going up. So in April, the halving will happen, and the release will become even less. And guess what's going to happen? The price is going to shoot up. More and more people are going to get excited. They're going to buy it. It will overshoot like it always does. It'll go to some crazy number like 200,000, 300,000, and then it'll come down. The number of transactions on the Bitcoin network every year has increased by 57%. So it's a network that more and more people are using. This was a really fun slide to put together. If you add up all the assets in the world, real estate, bonds, oil, equities, money, metals, gold, art, you get $850 trillion, every single asset in the world. Bitcoin, 800 billion, 0.8 trillion. It's not even 1 trillion. Now, there's two ways to look at it, right? The glass half empty is that, oh, it's so small. The glass half full perspective is 10 years ago, it was literally worth $1. Today, it is worth $800 billion. So it's literally going like this. And there's a concept in technology around how software eats the world, right? If you think about, your entertainment and your communication and your commerce and your banking, everything's happening on the phone. Software ate the world. Bitcoin is going to eat a good chunk of this because everything's going to get monetized here. So humans have a negativity bias, right? If I have a relationship with one of you for 20 years, and there's something bad I did last weekend, you're going to remember that bad thing versus the 20 years of good times. So every time people think about Bitcoin, they're like, oh, it crashed. But think about how much up it went and remained up. In the first halving, the actual return after the drop was 7,000%. In the second halving, the return was 1,800%. In the third halving, it was 361%, cut short by COVID and a few other issues. Right now, we're in this other halving right now. So don't think about, oh my God, it went from $65,000 to $16,000. Sure, it did, but it's back from $16,000 to $42,000. Train your mind to think about the positive, right? Look how much it's increased. So you have to think through what is your Bitcoin strategy, right? How much money are you investing in Bitcoin personally, as a company? Can you build products around it? People who are in real estate are using Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Software companies in the US are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Countries are buying Bitcoin because it's a scarce asset, right? So what is your Bitcoin strategy? So where did the $56 trillion number come from? Ooh. So if you think about the Pakistani rupee, right, it's a really, really bad currency. There are currencies that were bad, but maybe not as bad as us, like the Egyptian pound, 61% inflation. Then you had the Nigerian naira, 69% inflation. And Pakistan's next. We're at 83%. But there are countries that are worse than us, such as Turkey, Lebanon, Argentinian peso. So these are all the currencies that suck in the world, and we're right in the middle of that. With everything that's happening, Bitcoin is a great alternative. I moved to the US in 1997. A Big Mac meal used to cost $3. A Big Mac meal today costs $12. $3, $12. So in my world, we joke, right? The US dollar is a shit coin because it's losing value, right? And this is the chart that shows it, right? That when the Federal Reserve in the US was created, all it did was print money. When you print something, the supply increases and the price goes down. Simple as that. So this is an opportunity for countries like Pakistan and others to take advantage, right? If we choose to. The US national debt. Since COVID, the US has printed $4 trillion. Pakistan was looking for $4 billion. The US printed $4 trillion. Right? And that debt is increasing, and there's no stopping it. So they're just going to keep printing more dollars. So the safest place is buy gold, buy real estate, or buy Bitcoin. And if you still don't believe everything I've just said, Bitcoin is the top performing asset over the last 12 years. You can compare it with stocks, you can compare it with real estate, you can compare it with commodities, you can compare it with bond. Year after year after year, Bitcoin is beating everything else. So ignore it at your own peril. Then what was the fastest asset to $1 trillion? Was it Microsoft that took 44 years? Apple took 42 years? Amazon took 24 years? Google took 21 years? Bitcoin took 12 years. This is how fast it's moving. And it's going to keep going. It's like a steamship, just like this. So in a digital world where money hasn't been digitized, everything else has been digitized, right? We don't send a letter anymore. We just WhatsApp, right? Or banking, you don't go to the bank. You just bank on your phone. So money is being digitized, and a lot of wealth is being digitized. So right now, Bitcoin is 0.1% of 850 trillion. It's like this big. Surely, over the next 10 years, that 0.1% is going to go to 5%, 10%. And those that are not familiar, in the US, they just approved the ETF. So now anyone can buy a Bitcoin. You can be a big company, and you can buy it. So people are putting that on their balance sheet, and that 0.1% is going to go to 5, 10, 15, 20%. But let's be conservative, right? I don't want to be super, super exciting about this. Let's assume just 5%. So what happens? That 5% goes to $56 trillion over the next 10 years. That's how big of an asset this could be. Now, is it going to be 20 trillion or 100 trillion? 56 is kind of in the middle. That's kind of my guess. Thank you so much. Follow me on Twitter. I share more insights there. Thank you.